Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for November 17th through 23rd. This week I read 2 books, I watched 1 show, and I listened to 2 books. So, drumroll please for where in the world am I? Japan. Specifically, we're in Shirogiri right now. We've been here for a couple of days now, and then after this we're going to Nara. Before this we were in Tokyo for, I think, 3 or 4 days. Which is where 2 out of 3 of us picked up a cold, and the third one of us might be getting it as a delayed reaction, so you know, traveling is fun sometimes. So that's why I sound like this, that's why my nose looks like this, we're not going to talk about it anymore. While in Tokyo, I started reading one of the books that's been on my 40 before 40 TBR and has actually been on my long form TBR for about 13 years. And that's because my partner's twin, who recommended this book to me many years ago, and is the whole reason we're in Japan right now, because he's never traveled before and now we're all traveling together, he recommended this book to me and it's been on my list. And since then I've actually read 3 other books by this author and didn't really like them, and I didn't really like this one either, and that's The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. This book is about a guy who has recently quit his job at a law firm because he didn't really like it, and he and his wife are kind of at this financial point where she can carry him for a little while he tries to figure out what he wants to do instead of just being a gopher at a law firm. So at this point he's just basically being a house husband, and then a few weird things start happening, such as this woman keeps calling him and being like, we can get to know each other in 10 minutes, and then it turns into like a phone sex situation, and he's like, what the hell is going on? He also befriends this 16-year-old girl, and some really inappropriate stuff happens around that, because spoiler alert, this author likes to do crap like that. And then also the cat they rescued like 2 weeks after they got married has gone missing, so he's looking for the cat, and he finds this well next to the property where the 16-year-old is, and there's some weirdness about that. Also, they used to go visit this older man who was kind of psychic earlier in their marriage because his father-in-law basically said that they had to, and at some point he passes away and some other old man brings him this thing that he was basically gifted in his will, and while that old man is there he tells this really super long story that has nothing to do with anything, and then when we get to the end of it and he opens up the thing that was gifted to him, it's literally an empty box. And that's just this book in a nutshell. It is so overwritten. If you took out all the duplicate phrases in this book, it would be half as long at least. It might even be smaller than that. Because this book will be written in such a way where it'll be like, yeah, this is the thing that she said to me, and I thought that that was really inconsiderate. That was really inconsiderate, I said, in quotations, and it's just like, I don't know. Come on, just friggin'... It was so boring. It was so boring, and I hated it, and truthfully I skim read the last 30% because, like, it's a 600-page book, and it doesn't need to be. It could be a 200-page book, and I probably still would have been bored. Even though some weird things happen, and James told me to read this book because it's weird, and that's interesting, and okay, yes, it was weird, but it was so boring. But, you know, when in Japan. It was also interesting because as we were on the train leaving Tokyo, it was talking about this one station that this character was sitting outside of and kind of people watching and just basically numbing his brain out. And it's actually the most populous subway station in the world. Something like 3.59 million people go through it per day. And we had actually gone through that station earlier that day. So I was like, huh, I've been there. Cool. I don't know what the outside of it looks like because we rolled right through it, but yeah, we spent over 3 hours in subway hell just trying to get to the train station to leave Tokyo the other day. So, yeah. Now I can say I've read a Haruki Murakami in Japan. Am I gonna read another one ever? No, I've read too many books by this guy and I don't like them. The other book I read all in one go yesterday, and that's The Deep Dark. This is a graphic novel. I was able to get it through my library app, which isn't the best way to read graphic novels, especially because with this one you had to turn your phone sideways so you could see 2 pages at a time and kind of scroll like that, but you can zoom in for the teeny tiny text sometimes, so that's good. This book is all about a character named Megs. She is extremely hardworking. She has a family at home that she's taking care of, specifically her abuela. Her mother also lives there, and her brother has a long-term boyfriend because her father actually left the family quite a while back. She also has a job, and she's got a situation going on with a local girl where she's kind of the other person. And that's because she doesn't really want to date, but she does, you know, want some physical things sometimes. And this girl is not willing to really talk to her boyfriend about the fact that, you know, she also likes girls. At the very beginning of this, somebody is trying to get in contact with Megs and she doesn't know who it is, so she just keeps ignoring all of these things. And when people are like, hey, somebody came by the diner the other day looking for you, big, tall, redhead, pretty girl, and she's like, I don't know who that is. And they're like, oh, you're a heartbreaker. But it turns out this is actually a childhood friend that she hasn't seen in absolute years because this person actually moved when they were still kids. Now she's back in town and she's got a question because she seems to have this memory of there being a creature that was living in Meg's Megs's basement, and was basically a secret that Megs once told her about. Unfortunately, this secret is accurate, but also Megs wasn't really supposed to tell anybody that she was born with this creature that she has to feed her own blood to, so she's kind of like, yeah, no, I guess that was a nightmare. But this nightmare is also the reason why Megs is always super run down. This one was queer and beautiful, and the story was absolutely beautiful, and at the end of it was when I finally realized that Molly Knox Ostertag is actually married to Andy Stevenson, and I'm like, how did I not know that before? That's amazing. I love that for them. The art was beautiful. I really love the use of color in this because it was mostly black and white, but every once in a while color would be used in very specific ways, and I just absolutely adored that. As for the one show I watched this week, we watched the final episode of the 18th season of Taskmaster because it was finally uploaded to YouTube and Chad figured out how to cast it to the television of our hotel room while we were in Tokyo. Obviously not much to report, always a very interesting time to see how people get on. We see kind of what the scores are going to be, but I never really pay attention to who wins or anything like that. I'm just there for the tasks and the laughs. And this season was a great time, just like every other season. As for the books I listened to, the first one is called The Villa. This one is about two childhood friends who both went on to actually be writers. One of them is a writer of cozy mysteries, and the other one is a writer of self-help stuff. Our protagonist is the one that writes the cozy mysteries, and she's kind of had a writing block because she's also going through a really messy divorce, and her ex-husband also claims that he should be getting proceeds from her book sales because he helped her with the books and that type of thing. Not to mention that the love interest in the book really looks a lot like he does, so she's having a hard time writing it because she just kind of wants to murder that character. However, her readers will not be into that. She meets up with her best friend every once in a while, and her best friend actually comes to town, they have a lunch, and then when she contacts her the next day, she's like, you know what would be great? I actually have this villa in Italy that I've reserved for like 6 weeks. I'm gonna go on a writing retreat. You should just come with me. It's gonna be great. And when our main character looks it up, she realizes that there was a very famous murder that happened at this villa. One of the things that I find incredibly fun is when we have a situation like this and you have flashbacks to the people that were actually in that situation and you're trying to figure out exactly what went on back in the 70s, I think it was. And this whole book plays with the idea of narrative and who gets to tell stories and what stories we tell ourselves and other people, and it's just really, it was a really good time. I won't say it was perfect, but I had a really good time visiting Italy with these women. The other book that I listened to this week, mostly I listened to the entire thing on the plane from Vancouver to Tokyo, although I did start a little bit of it in the airport, and that was Nightmares. This is the first in a middle grade, I believe, trilogy. I'm not sure if there's more books than that. I think that's how many books there are. And it's actually a co-written book between Jason Segel, who I know as Marshall from How I Met Your Mother. He's done many other things since then, but that's the first thing I ever really saw him in. And then Kirsten Miller, who's the whole reason I actually learned about these books in the first place, because I've read a couple of her books so far, really enjoyed them, and just searched the audiobooks that I could get from my library catalog with that author, and realized that she had co-written these books like 10 years ago with Jason Segel. If you're wondering, the books that I previously read by her are The Change and Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books, both of which I can definitely recommend, which is why I was looking to see if she'd written anything else. This book is all about this boy whose mother died a few years ago and he's still grieving all of that, but his father has actually moved on and is married to somebody else, and they have actually moved into her creepy house in town. It's this big mansion on top of the hill that's painted this dark purple color, and he is pretty certain that there is a witch trying to get into his room to basically abduct him while he's sleeping. That means that even though they've moved into this house quite some time ago, he hasn't unpacked, he keeps his boxes in front of his door so nobody can get in, and he's just really upset about this whole situation. Now, of course, this sounds like something that is just like a kid that's having trouble coping, and yes, of course, that's what it is, but also, this house kind of has a portal to another world where nightmares are actually a thing and you have to battle them, but you can also become friends with them. And his new stepmother's family has actually owned this house for generations, and that definitely comes into play. This is just a fun book about people learning to face their fears and friends coming together and saving each other and being there for each other. Also, the audiobook is read by Jason Segel, and of course he does an amazing job. I would be interested in listening to the rest of these as well, because they're just very easy listening and they're just a delightful time. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!